Good day, dear viewers. Awalan Asia Awalan, first things first. India's highly respected defense and security expert Pravin Sawheny was widely expected to offer a comprehensive, informed, and objective perspective on the recent clashes between Afghanistan and Pakistan as a follow up to his talk that he delivered about a week ago, which was about Afghanistan's Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi's India visit. However, for whatever reasons, Mr. Sawhney has come up with two back-to-back videos focusing China and Russia. Through these two videos, Mr. Sawhney, in my view, has tried to establish himself as a sinologist like Henry Kissinger and a Sovietologist like Stephen Cohen.
Far as Russia is concerned, it should have been known to the world that Russia, as a successor state of the Soviet Union, was always a great power. Because please remember, the Soviet Union was not defeated in the Cold War on the battlefield, it merely disintegrated. Therefore, all the attributes and the legacy of the Soviet Union was passed on to Russia. For example, Russia today has the largest natural resources in the world, totaling close to $75 trillion. It is member of P5, it is a nuclear superpower, and Russia is the only country with such a huge landmass that it conducts foreign policy both on its west as well as on the east. But all this was overlooked by the West and especially America. It was only in the Ukraine war, in the 3 years war, that finally it has dawned on the West or the global North that Russia has been fighting NATO by proxy and that Russia cannot be defeated on the battlefield because it is a great power.
Here, I would like to make two quick points. Number one, the Russian Federation is only a partial successor state to the USSR or the Soviet Union because of a variety of reasons. It is still accused of usurping the United Nations membership and a seat on the Security Council following the disintegration of the Soviet Union. Number two, the ruling group led by Boris Yeltsin in the Kremlin had not only rejected the Soviet past, it had also rejected with contempt the historic experience of Russia prior to 1917.
It is a great power. But this fact of Russia being a great power was clear to Xi Jinping when he became the president of China in November 2012, which is why his first foreign visit was to Russia. He went in March 2013 to Russia. He had a long discussion with President Putin. And here is the thing, the two leaders, Xi Jinping and Putin, they realized that they did not share the same worldview, but they were agreed on the common vision of the new world order.
No, no, no. Mr. Sawhney is totally wrong here. Xi Jinping's visit to Russia after he became the president of China was not the recognition of Russia being a great or superpower. It was due to some very well established or sacred kind of traditions between Russia and China. Russia was also the first official destination for Xi's predecessor Hu Jintao and Jiang Zemin. During Jiang Zemin's visit to Russia, which was in response to Boris Yeltsin's visit to China in the first part of the 1990s, Russia was in a deep cultural, social, ethnic, economic, and political turmoil. Russia had lost its status of great or superpower by all accounts. However, Chairman Mao's visit to the then Soviet Union, soon after the founding of the People's Republic of China, was clearly in recognition of Soviet Union being a huge superpower.
I said that the two countries do not share a worldview. We need to understand that. And there are two reasons why they don't share the worldview. The first is that globalization, which was done by the Americans, that benefited China. And that benefit increased many folds when the Americans helped Chinese join the WTO, the World Trade Organization, in 2001. So China benefited from globalization, and hence the entire Chinese thinking is around globalization.
Dear viewers, I really do not know. I do not know whether Mr. Sawhney, who is of course a great scholar on security and defense matters, has the real appreciation of full import of the word or term globalization. Or is he aware of the five theories, including the theory of hegemonic stability and the theory of multilateralism? Not only did globalization contribute to the fall or demise of the Soviet Union, it also helped the post Soviet Russia achieve certain economic progress.
Bilateral trade. In fact, when we see between these two great powers, China and Russia, their annual trade today stands at $200 billion annually, but they do not have a free trade agreement with one another, and they are not likely to have the FTA. And the reason for that is simple, because there is a asymmetry in commodity trade. As far as Russia is concerned, its main trade or export to China is about energy. On the other hand, what the Chinese want to export to Russians is a whole range of high value added manufactured goods. Something that the Russians do not want, because the Russians want to prioritize their own industrial development, and hence they do not give preference to external trade liberalization.
That Mr. Pravin Sawhney is not equally, I'm sorry to say, he's not equally adept at defense matters, and economics or politics is a fact that has found its best expression from his highly flawed perspective on the economic relationship between Russia and China. In my view, Mr. Sawhney ought to have named his data source, because the numbers given by him are highly misleading, to say the least. In 2024, for example, the bilateral trade between China and Russia stood at US dollar 244 billion. China's exports to Russia were of US dollar 116 billion. China mainly exported its finished products such as electronic items, cars, trucks, and industrial equipment, while Russia's exports to China stood at US dollar 129 billion. Of course, Russia mainly exported its energy products in raw form. The reason given by Mr. Sawhney about Russia's reluctance to have an FTA or free trade agreement with China is not plausible or convincing at all, because Russia's approach to FTA or FTAs is always driven by both economic and strategic considerations. Russia seeks to improve or strengthen its economic ties with China through the Russian-led Eurasian Economic Union, which views any or every FTA in very narrow political and security terms. Last but not the least, Mr. Sawhney seems to be hell-bent on proving that both Russia and China are great powers or superpowers. He's totally wrong. I'll be elaborating on the reasons why neither state is a great power or superpower in one of my upcoming videos. I'm Sarfraz Ahmed, based in Karachi, Pakistan. Mania Zabul Sarfraz Ahmad ya Rabote to Vegeta, Karachi, Pakistan. Ana Sarfraz Ahmed, Naiber Jarida, Karachi. I'm a student of Sovietology, Indology, Semitic languages, and Middle Eastern studies. Thank you for watching this video.